This episode of Suede's Pokemon Journey was not brought to you by Bulbapedia, and more specifically Dogasu's Backpack, the premier location for comparisons between the Japanese and English versions of the show, but I want to plug them anyway because they're awesome. It was, however, brought to you by amazing patrons who get every episode super early and get shouted out at the end. Last year was the 25th anniversary of Pokemon, except it wasn't really the 25th anniversary for me, nor do I fear is it the 25th anniversary for the majority of even the most hardcore of Pokemaniacs. Although it is true that the very first games, Pokemon Green and Red versions, came out in 1996, if we're being honest, what really sucked us into the world of those ballsy little addicted goblins? Although the games certainly allowed us to realize the dream of becoming a Pokemon master, with a couple of exceptions, I think most of us know what originally made us want to become one in the first place. So here's the thing, I want to look at every single individual episode of Pokemon and see how it holds up, how it compares to the Japanese version where possible, and how many affectionate goofs we can make at its expense in the process. For those of you who don't know, I actually attempted this earlier and got nearly 200 episodes in. So I'm going to reenact the episodes in paper puppet form, because even though I love the Pokemon anime, the Pokemon anime does not love me. Join me now as I embark on Suede's Paperbond journey. Pokemon, I choose you! Highlights. Hi, my name's Ash Ketchum and I love watching pro trainers battle Pokemon on TV. You'd think I'd pick up a few pointers, but nope, I'm just so excited that I can't sleep. Can't sleep, you say? Well, I have the perfect solution. Watching television. Ah, gee, Mom, you're the best. Everyone's a good parent when you only have to do it for 10 years. When are you leaving again? Tomorrow. Then Ash sleeps in and has to rush to the lab in his pajamas. Dude, you're already late. Getting dressed won't unmake you late. And after running into his rival Gary and setting the tone for their relationship over the next 2.5 seasons... Hooray! Then he steps into the lab and Professor Oak is there and Ash is all, "Sorry I'm late, Professor, but I thought really hard and I decided on Squirtle." Already taken by someone who is on time. Okay, fine then, Bulbasaur. Yeah, the first 2 gyms will be a cakewalk. That one was also taken by a kid who wasn't late and will never be named. Well, then, I guess Charmander... Oh, come on! The early bird catches the worm, or in this case... Don't give me that, you sadist! Wait a minute, if the other Pokemon were in the balls, then the trainer would have taken it with... You freaking set up these empty balls to mess with me? Well, you know, you... Fine, sorry, take my spear. That's what I thought. Sounds like it's going great. At least better than it's dead. Oh boy, that was... You okay, Mom? Just change your underwear. You got it. Oh, sorry. It's okay, dear. Right, off on my adventure with a creature that's medically killed me and my mother already. So you gonna help me out? Yep, fine, I got it. But Rattata shouldn't come out into an open field. It also goes into open fields to take advantage of stupid travelers. Okay, well, since my phone just insulted me, I guess things can't get any worse. This can only benefit me. Well, it's still not as bad as when Dad left. Run, Pikachu, into the river! Then Misty, of course, fishes Ash and Pikachu out of the water, and they're all... Hi. Hi. You know, you have exceptional upper body strength. This is somehow a shipping moment. All right. Right, so my mouse is in a coma, so I'm stealing your bike. What? Mouse, coma, bike. Your clarification is not having the desired effect, you dingus. I swear I will not forget this slide for as long as I live. She's bluffing. My name is Ash Ketchum, and to be honest, this is all entirely my fault. But in the name of the god who has not been designed yet, I will not let my pet suffer for my mistakes. Any more for my mistakes. Yes, look, I'm trying. Now come and get me. Pikachu, why would you do that? It's because
Nope.
No. Yeah, we beat him. Come on, race you to the emergency room. Thoughts? I want to be the very best, exclaimed Jason Page in his best Bon Jovi impression. A generation of kids' ears pricked up and all were intrigued. I've talked about the opening theme for Pokemon before. Heck, I talked about it in the very first YouTube video that I ever made. No, I'm not going to make it public, why do you ask? But if I may digress, in my own video, it's still my absolute favorite opening to a kids' show. I can't play it for copyright reasons, but I really don't need to. I also loved it and still love it for the fact that I never once even considered that there might have been a kind of moral conflict in training these creatures thanks to that one line, "You're my best friend in a world we must defend." The minor fall sells the importance of it, and again, he's so sincere. This isn't a forceful command like, change into digital champions to save the digital world, or it's time to rule. No, you're my best friend, and this world needs defending. I know you could say it's propaganda, but gosh dang, is it good propaganda? So we're hyped out of our seats and pushing our eyeballs against the glass of our CRT screen. How do they open it? How do they open the show? With probably the most perfect opening they could have gone with. A shot-for-shot remake of the opening of the game, complete with sound effects. This is an amazing hook, and it's also amazing from a marketing perspective. Those who've played the games get a kick out of seeing the opening screen again, and then they're shown visually that now they get to see what it's like in the world they've been enjoying in glorious animation and color. Here's the other side of the coin though. Say, like me at the time, you had never played the games, or maybe just saw the ads for them on TV. You'd know that these are video game sounds, so you understand that this is based on a video game. So if you like the show and want to be just like Ash and go on a grand adventure, you can. Just buy the dang game, all without a single plug or product placement. Speaking of Ash though, do you remember how he was introduced? I feel like it isn't mentioned enough just how different of a protagonist Ash really is from your standard kids anime fare, at least to begin with. Think about it, what is the standard spiel for a kid's toy seller, at least at the time? Average kid who's really nice and sweet yet painfully average is going about their regular life when they suddenly receive the call to adventure through no real fault of their own, usually through some kind of power that puts them above others. They're reluctant at first, but through friendship or world-shattering stakes, they're won over, start enjoying themselves, and fulfills their destiny. There are seriously so many kids anime that begin this way. But Ash is different. He can't wait for his call to adventure, he craves it. This is something he has wanted his whole life. It's like a teenager finally getting their driver's license. It's relatable. He wants to be the hero so badly, and then he's hit in the face with a reality stick. He's not encouraged on by a magical fairy saying that only he can defeat the MacGuffin menace, quite the opposite. He's immediately pipped to the post in his freaking pajamas by a stuck-up jerk who gets an inherent advantage in life simply due to his lineage. He is forced to pick an apparently inferior starting Pokemon, and then he's thrown into the harsh world after being humiliated by his supposed Pokemon in said harsh world in front of the few townspeople who came to see him off by giving them all severe electrical trauma. His only comforting words are from his mother after she's been electrocuted by her son's pet for 14 straight seconds. That poor voice actor. Even his freaking Pokédex tells him he's out of his depth. He then, almost completely disillusioned, has to earn the trust of his Pokemon, Pikachu. Pikachu hates him. A lot. Ash tries his best, but his naivety and bullheadedness sour even his most sincere attempts at reconciliation. He then goes against all that he has been taught by engaging with Pokemon without their guaranteed protection and gets him and Pikachu attacked. Even now he wants to be a hero, and even now he gets rejected for his hubris. It's only after he offers his life as a glorified peace offering and pretty much hits rock bottom that things finally start to get better. Even then Ash remains imperfect, he still stole private property. It's almost a subversion of the hero's journey when you think about it, and that takes Pokeballs to do on a first episode of anything, let alone a kids genre steeped in traditional tropes. This is a hero who truly is an anybody, and the best part is that he remains an anybody throughout the most of the first season. When you really think about it, there is nothing special about Ash. What, he has a fighting magical pet? Everyone does. In fact, he starts out a loser and remains that way until he starts to claw his way out of his own self-imposed personality flaws. What's more relatable than that? Throughout the whole episode, the theme seems to be that this world is cruel, unrelenting, and bigger than you can imagine. But you can make it better by forgetting yourself and making others' lives richer. Except Misty. Screw Misty. Bold direction, unique take, awesome opening episode. Trivia. Most of the interesting things in this episode can be related to it being the beginning of the series, such as this being the only episode without Team Rocket for over 600 episodes, or the only episode where Pikachu is actually put in Ash's Pokeball. It's also kind of distracting that they hadn't quite got the pronunciation of Poke down quite yet, so for a while it sounds like everyone really loves traditional Czech folk dances. In terms of edits, one interesting one happens when Ash is scolded by Misty for mistreating Pikachu. When you watch the episode, you'll notice one frame that's held a little too long. This is where they cut out Misty giving Ash 5 across the eyes. I still don't understand how electrocuting a crowd is fine, yet a slap in the face for abusing animals is somehow taboo, but there you go. There's also a point where Ash tells Pikachu to open their mouth and tell him what's wrong, and Pikachu just cheekily opens his mouth in his face. In Japanese, this is still there to demonstrate he's being difficult, but also because of the bane of localizations everywhere, the untranslatable pun. In this case, it's referencing that the word for story, hanashi, sounds very similar to the phrase no teeth, which is hanashi. So Pikachu's basically saying, what do you mean? I have teeth, in the most schoolyard bully way possible. And finally, strangely enough, Ash's mum had some even less tender words for Ash in the Japanese version. In English, it's the infamous don't forget to change your underwear every single day. In Japanese, she says to remember to change into your pajamas when you sleep, even if it's those dirty ones he's wearing. So touching. And so begins Suede's journey into the Pokémon world. Again, what could possibly await ahead for him and his companions? No one really knows for sure, but it would probably be best if they prepared for trouble.